What's up, y'all? The Nature Girl 30 here, and Money in the Bank is now in the books, and this is my review on Money in the Bank. Now, I'm gonna be honest, guys, this show actually was pretty solid. I enjoyed every bit of this. I really did. But there were some matches that was didn't really make any sense for me when it came to the finale. There was a segment that was even more puzzling, but then hilarious when Ollie Davis and Luke Owen kind of brought it out. And yes, I actually did watch Wrestle Talk's review before doing this, and they had a valid point, but I'll get into that a little bit later. And also, there were people that were questioning about what the main event should be, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, we're going to start off. I'm honestly surprised they start this off first with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This was incredibly physical. Like, good grief, was it physical and hard hitting. Now, in my predictions video, I said there were maybe several people that I could imagine that could be winning the title, from Shinsuke Nakamura to Ricochet to possibly Logan Paul, to LA Knight, and to Damian Priest. But Damian Priest, in my humble opinion, was actually the most accurate to win because of the fact that his storyline had so much meat to it. But when it comes to Damian Priest, it made more sense for him to win. That match was just brutal. But I had to laugh a little bit because when Logan Paul tried to do, I guess, a frog splash on the ladder on top of Damian Priest, I think it was on top of Damian Priest, and he just bounced off. I didn't know what that bottle was that was thrown at him, but Ollie Davis kind of brought it out in his review that it was Prime. Somebody actually threw a bottle of Prime back at him. I'm like, okay, man, I guess maybe they feel the same way I do about your drink. I don't know. But let's just hope it's Prime in there and not anything else. But anyway, Damian Priest actually won this. It made sense for this to happen. This match was great. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give this match 4 stars. Now, I'm not going to really give it 5. I don't think it was a 5-star match at all. But I am going to definitely give it 4 stars. Now, moving on to the women's tag championship match. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Liv Morgan's union attire, I think it wasn't a Union flag attire. According to Ollie, it was Union flag and not Union Jack, even though it's Union Jack symbols. But I don't know, I am not British. But the thing is, I love her ring attire. I thought it was cute. I thought it really represented the UK. I thought it was great. I love Liv. I really do. Now, Raquel, is she as boring as dry toast? Yes. She's incredibly boring as dry toast. And even with her being on a tag team, it's not going to bring up her flavor. Unfortunately, it's not. But I gotta talk about Ronda Rousey and the Majin Buu symbol on her head. Bruh, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? You're no Vegeta. You're no Vegeta. You do know that Vegeta decided to actually be possessed by Majin Buu to gain power, only for it to lead to his demise. Okay, I guess I see what you did there. But anyway, the thing is, the ending kind of didn't make any sense because we really did not know or had any indication that Shayna Baszler was going to turn on Ronda. Or maybe it was something I missed. Maybe there were indications that Shayna was going to turn on Ronda, but it just felt like it was out of nowhere. Like, it felt like there was really nothing leading up to that. And it didn't make any sense. I think everyone was confused, including me. It didn't really lead into the story. It felt like a cheap win because as much as I love Liv's better off on her own. Raquel really does need to find something interesting about her character before you slap a championship on her. I don't think those belts are going to be done any justice with those titles on them. Maybe with Liv, if Liv teamed up with Alexa Bliss, sure, but not Raquel. She's just boring. And I'm hoping that maybe she spices up her character to try to bring some interest to those titles after winning it. But the match itself was okay. Liv is always going to impress me because she gets better as time goes on. The one thing about Raquel is there's nothing really special about her. And I know I'm sounding like I'm harping on her, but there just isn't. We've had a lot of powerhouse women. She doesn't seem like a powerhouse to me. She doesn't look like a powerhouse. She looks incredibly tall. She's probably strong, but she doesn't look like Beth Phoenix. She doesn't like China. She doesn't look impressive. Not when it comes to her physique. She just doesn't look impressive to be a powerhouse. You gotta have that look, and she doesn't have that. If she wants to be an Amazon, For her height, sure, but it has to be done in a different way. But the match itself was okay. I just don't think that there's a lot of chemistry between Liv and Raquel. I'm hoping that develops soon, but the match itself was alright. But the ending was very confusing. It felt like a cheap win. I think that those women deserve better, and I mean by Liv and Raquel. I didn't hate the match, but it was just meh. I gotta give it 3 stars out of 5. Okay, I'm going to move on to the match that I have been looking forward to because good grief, y'all know how much I love this title. And this is the IC Championship match with Matt Riddle versus Gunther. I had no idea that they faced themselves, that they actually faced each other in other wrestling companies. I think it was also in Evolve. And also in another wrestling company they faced off against each other. I had no idea until Irvin pointed that out to me, and it kind of showed that they knew each other and knew how, knew each other's moves and kind of knew how they would work. And Gunther brought the pain. Matt Riddle did everything he could to keep up, and he made it look good. He made it look like he was definitely going to fight back. He was no Ilya Dragunov. Let's be honest. I don't think anyone can touch that match. Ilya Dragunov brought a lot more heart to that match, and I don't think anyone can touch that match. But to his defense, Matt Riddle fought, and he fought hard. He went down swinging. And I'm happy that Gunther retained because Gunther did so much to that IC belt. And I think the biggest example here is that everybody kept talking about how ugly the first Universal title was when it was like licorice red. And how even though Finn won it, he was embarrassed to hold it up because everybody hated the design. But when you gave it to Brock Lesnar, people started buying it, because Brock brought something to that belt. Gunther, as much as I hate that IC title design, he brought so much worth to it, to where I would not be shocked that people are buying it now. He has done so much to make that belt look good. He has done so much to be the in-ring general, which is who he is. And then the fact that you got Drew McIntyre coming out later. Now that's why I kind of feel bad at the expense of Riddle's loss. That you have something as big as Drew McIntyre making his return, even though there were so many rumors about him not coming back. It kind of erases everything that Riddle did. It doesn't really pay much attention to him, but I think this was all about the return of Drew and how they were going to do it. But I never thought I wanted this match more in my life. I never thought that I wanted this match more in my life. And I'm so happy that we're probably going to get this at SummerSlam. Let this happen, please. But about the match itself. The match itself actually was really good. Is it a 4-star? No. This match is definitely a 3-star match. But Gunther definitely did show that he was the in-ring general, and Matt Riddle went down swinging. So I'm definitely got to give this a 3-star. But this was all about Drew. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, this was all about Drew. But let's move on to Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. As much as I'm not a huge fan of Cody's song is the most addictive song. I was highly impressed that everybody in the UK crowd knew every word to his entrance music. I was really impressed with that. But they really did, and I'm just going to mention the crowd for a second. They really did make it fun. They really made it fun, but they did it in a way to where they weren't obnoxious. US, kind of take a hint from them. I'm just saying. Yes, they can be obnoxious fans. Don't get it twisted. But here, they really did make it fun. They did make it obnoxious. They actually did. They did chants when they was. I'm not gonna say when they were supposed to, but when it made more sense. But anyway, let's get off the crowd and let's go into the match. Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio was by far the weakest. And the reason why it was the weakest because we already know that Dominic is not a threat. He is no way, shape, or form a threat to anybody. The fact that Cody was wrestling him, in my opinion, was a downgrade. Because Cody needs to be beefed up to go against Roman Reigns for next year's WrestleMania, which we know is going to happen. Roman is going to get dethroned by Cody. We kind of see this happening, but we said this before at last year's WrestleMania. But I digress. If he is going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for this year, he needs to look good. This is not the opponent to have him with. I'm just saying. And let's be honest, with Dom, he's getting nuclear heat. Not because of what he did to this, well, kind of what he did to his dad, but his dad won, so I think his dad's kind of out of the picture now. It's mainly because he's with Rhea. So Rhea definitely, she didn't really have a huge hand in this match, but this match itself needed to be really short, and it was. Even though it was by far the weakest, it didn't bring anything to the table. In my opinion, this is something that should have been done on Raw or SmackDown. Or, you know, something that was done on primetime TV. So I have to give this match 2 stars out of 5. It was the weakest match on the card. It wasn't by far bad, but it definitely was the weakest match on the card. Now I'm gonna really bring up this segment, and I'm kind of hoping that a lot of reviewers that do review Money in the Bank mention this. But John Cena coming out to actually politic to the crowd to bring WrestleMania to London. Okay, now I actually saw Wrestle Talk and I saw their review. With Luke Owen did mention this first, as well as Ollie mentioning it after him, that London has the most visitation in the world. One of the biggest cities in the world that has the most visitation. They do not need your money. When it comes to WrestleMania, they come to all these towns and cities that don't have a lot of visitation revenue. But when they do come to town, a lot of revenue happens. They bring a lot more money, a lot more tourists from other countries that will travel from one area to another to be there. Even if it is a bad pay-per-view, it's a WrestleMania, it's a name. They're going to come from whatever country to go to WrestleMania, to pay money to stay in a hotel, to pay money to eat there, to pay money to drive around, bus travel, what have you. It brings revenue to the city. It benefits the city. That makes 100% sense. So why in the world that London, probably not one of the oldest, but also one of the busiest, as well as one of the most visited cities in the world, need you? Seriously, they don't need you. So in my humble opinion, when I saw this, I was like, why in the world are you asking the crowd? And I was thinking this at first. I'm like, why are you asking the crowd to talk to your, I guess, powers that be? In other words, talk to your government to have WrestleMania come to London. Why are you actually talking to the crowd about this? And that kind of brings a whole realization for what Ollie Davis said. They're trying to get London to flip the bill. They're trying not to hurt their bottom line by having WrestleMania come there. Okay, you're worth how much? Now I know that yes, when it comes to net worth doesn't count for everything. I get that. They are a $10 billion company. You're telling me that, and here's my question. You're in the O2 Stadium in London. So I know that you guys had to pay for that. You had to pay for that entire arena. You had to pay for everybody to be there. So you're trying to get London to flip the bill for you. Now I think Puerto Rico did that. Puerto Rico actually did flip the bill to have, I forgot whatever show they had down there, but they actually did flip the bill to have their show down there and have their show air on Peacock. The same exact thing when they had Cardiff. I think they had Takeover Cardiff, and they also had another event there, Clash in the Castle, that Cardiff actually paid for them to come up there to do the show. And Puerto Rico did the exact same thing. They flipped the bill. Yes, is it a huge benefit for the company? It is, because they don't have to put anything into it. But you're asking London, who has a lot more clout than you in this case. They actually do have a lot more leverage than you. For you, really, like, they're gonna see, okay, what can you bring to the table that we already have? What can you possibly do that we're already doing? So I highly doubt that London is going to flip the bill. And the fact that they mentioned that and they had John Cena bring that out there and beef them up to have WrestleMania there, I think was dirty. I think was something that is not really so much on unorthodox. It's just the fact that WWE didn't need to do that. And if they're saying, oh, John Cena didn't need to be out there, John Cena shouldn't have been out there, he just took over. I'm like, no, y'all gave him permission to be there because you guys know how much of a do-boy that John Cena is. He would never do anything without permission. When it comes to WWE, I would not be surprised he will literally ask WWE permission to pee. And I'm not even saying it to be facetious. I'm just saying. But, well, he, of course, at the time when he had more clout, probably not. But either or, no. That was a dumb segment. And yeah, you're bringing out Grayson Waller to try to have, okay, why don't we bring it to Australia? Have it confrontational, of course, with people from London, and also people from Australia, trying to create that clash. I'm like, y'all knew what you were doing. That whole segment itself was stupid. And that was dumb for you guys to actually ask London to flip the bill. Come on. That's pathetic on your end. But I'm not going to go too much into this. I think I talked too much about this segment. But that was pathetic on the end of WWE, man. Really, that's really sad. That was really sad on their end. But anyway, the next match that I'm going to talk about is the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match actually had a lot more story compared to the men's. The men's was more physical. The women's actually did have a story. And there were several stories going around. But of course, it kind of circulated around damage control. And yes, Samantha Irvin got it wrong. Horribly wrong. And I think she actually made a comment on Twitter about it. But the fact that she called Bayley from Judgment Day, I'm like, wow, honey. Wow, your job is to remember people's names and you couldn't get that. I can't give you a pass. I'm sorry. I can't. But either or, the story was pretty much circulated around damage control and them breaking down. And then also you had Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. And it was pretty much those two that had the biggest story going in. Now, yeah, you put Zelina Vega in there. Zelina Vega had the biggest pop of her life in her home country, and I think that's as far as it's going to go. She's never going to win a title because I don't think she's going to do anything for it. The smaller things, sure. Like Queen of the Ring, yeah, she'll win that. But actually having a belt or maybe a tag belt, sure, because I think she was a tag team champion at one time. But anything below the main belt, yeah, she'll have that, but she's not going to have the main belt. But Zoe Stark didn't have a shot in the dark of winning. We kind of know this. She just got introduced. So that'd be dumb to put anything on her. But Io Sky and Becky Lynch were the only two that I could think of that could win. But the finish was incredibly clever. It was incredibly clever for Io to do that, to actually handcuff her to Bayley. To handcuff Becky to Bayley. I thought it was very clever on their end. But this story was, the overall match was told so well, storyline wise, to where I enjoyed this a little bit more than the men. Going back and thinking about it, even though the men was physically hard hitting, I enjoyed this a lot better than the men. And I know it's going to sound incredibly biased, but how physical this entire match was, as well as the story being told very well, and how clever that even though Io got knocked off the ladder by Bayley and how conflicted Bayley looked, Io cleverly handcuffed Bayley, her boss, to Becky Lynch to get the actual briefcase. It was told well. I don't care. I'm giving this 5. This is going to be 5 stars. And the reason why I'm giving it 5 stars, number one, the story was told very well. The physical, the physicality of the match, how well everything was executed, it was done incredibly well. And honestly, man, the finish was really good. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5. I know I might get some heat from this, but I'm giving it a 5. From really great story, really great storytelling. The match itself was actually amazing, and they really had a good, like, they had they had 4 individuals that had really good stories going into it. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5 for that. But yeah, I talked too much about that. But let's move on to Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. The storyline, oh my gosh, was slaughtered by the crowd. The crowd really did ruin any ounce of emotion that should have been brought into this to where people should start caring. But this match is actually well told. I mean, this feud is well told. The match itself was surprisingly didn't have a lot of heat to it. And what I mean by that is, from all the energy that Seth brought into the actual promo work, from him beating the crap out of Seth Rollins at every single turn, you would think that he would bring a crap ton of energy to this match to where he would just go on swinging and just beat the crap out of Seth throughout the entire match. You thought he would be ready to blow and be just going over there and just beating the crap out of him until he's like a bloody pulp on the ground. I thought that was going to be happening. It should have been a lot more fire to this. Especially how passionate Finn Balor was of beating Seth, because Seth was the one that put him away. He was the one that took his whole career and changed it for him. He had every ounce of reason to put energy into beating the crap out of this guy. And then you have Damian Priest coming out of nowhere with the briefcase waiting for the winner. And it kind of makes you think, okay, he's going to cash it on Finn. And that's why I made that prediction. And honestly, it made more sense. If Finn beat him, he would have the title taken away from him again. Just like how Seth took the title away from him from injuring him. You would have had Damian Priest steal the title away from Finn, even though Finn had it for that split second. In my opinion, that would have been a better story. But I just felt like it just kind of was just calm here. I don't know. That's just me personally. I'm not going to say it was boring. It really wasn't. It's just that with storyline going into it that kind of got smoldered out by the crowd, and then also just the fact that there was not as much energy as you would think would be in this match, I gotta give this match a 3. It's kind of sad, to be honest, because I think that Finn Balor had every right to feel the way he did, and he did everything he could to pump it up, but the crowd kind of took over, and it just didn't, the storyline itself just kind of smoldered out. And I think that they do have the chance to build it back up with the whole issues that that Finn Balor has against Damian Priest. I think they're able to beat that up. But as for the match itself, it should have had more fire. It wasn't bad by no means. I'm definitely giving it a 3. I'm definitely giving it a 3. Now, let's move on to the main event. This Bloodline Civil War with the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. I already said this straight up. This does nothing for Solo Sikoa. But it did shock me to know that Roman Reigns was the one that ate the pin. And the fact that he actually took the pin, they gotta end it. The Bloodline's over. You can't beat this up. But it's just gonna be between Solo, Roman, and Paul Heyman. And it shows that Paul Heyman definitely is the snake of the entire crew. The fact that you're going to call this guy a wise man and he's literally gaslighting stuff between you and everyone else, especially between Roman and the Usos, he's going to definitely betray Roman. At the end of the day, he is going to betray Roman. We know this is going to happen. But this has to be a slow burn. But what they're going to do, I don't know. Something tells me that it might be a babyface turn down the line, but will it make sense to do it? If they do it properly, they will. The match itself, this is what the championship match should have had. The Bloodline feud was the hottest thing going. Now, I know there was a lot of people that believe this should not have main evented, but this is the hottest thing going. Even though, in my humble opinion, that when it comes to the actual Bloodline itself, the Bloodline, in my opinion, is already dead. Like, it's already over. But it's still the hottest thing going. It made 100% sense to have this being main evented because it's still something that people talk about. Even though, and I talked to Irvin about this, that I think they blew their load when they had Jey Uso turn against Roman at SmackDown instead of here. In my opinion, it would have had more worth doing it at the Money in the Bank than it would on SmackDown, but I digress. This match has so much heat to it. It had so much story being told in the ring. It has so much emotion right and left, from Roman Reigns to the Usos themselves to Solo Sikoa. When Solo saw Roman Reigns break down in the ring, literally on the verge of tears. He was like, get up, man, get up, we got a job to do. You know, he was the one that stepped up, which makes you feel like, yeah, he should be the tribal chief. There was so much emotion told in this match. This is what Seth and Finn should have had. This is what they should have had. It told everything we knew. Like I said on my predictions video, it made no sense for Roman to win here. It made no sense for him and Solo to win. It made every ounce of sense for the Usos to win. And they did. But I will say that this was such a well-told story. It's definitely coming to a close. The finale that they had for this match was superb. It was done so well. And I have to give this a 5-star. This is definitely a 5-star match. The story was probably one of the best storylines that WWE has done in years. There was so much emotion told in the ring. The wrestling was amazing. Paul Heyman being involved adds more to the story. This was done so well. I'm giving this 5 stars. Overall, I give WWE Money in the Bank 2023 4 out of 5 stars. Even though Cody Rhodes' match with Dominic Mysterio was by far the weakest, there was a lot of story that was told, not only just with the main event, but also with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And overall, this was a very entertaining pay-per-view. But anyway, guys, that is Money in the Bank in a nutshell. Those are my thoughts about Money in the Bank. What do you guys think about the pay-per-view? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like my reviews, if you like what I do on this channel, please subscribe. And please leave in the comments about what you think about Money in the Bank overall, and especially what you think about Cena. I am really curious about that. But guys, I am done here. I will see y'all later. Peace out.